Good afternoon, hello, my name is Daniel, this is the TriathlonDan YouTube channel, but I am not here today to talk to you about myself. I'm here to talk to you about somebody with slightly more athletic prowess than I will ever have, and that is Alex Yee. Now, I'm a massive fan of the sport of triathlon. I'm particularly enjoying the build-up to the Paris Olympics. I've been following everything you can online pretty much. Christian Blumenfeld has been putting out loads of training content, training data, information on how he's training and so on, and I absorb that like a sponge. I've been yearning for some of the British athletes to do that, and Alex Yee today has delivered. He's put on Strava a pretty big and like race specific brick session, and all the data is on there, so I'm absolutely so excited to share this with you. I'm sure he's happy with sharing it because he's posted it publicly. This is his Instagram. If you don't know who Alex Yee is, please do give him a follow. I'm sure he would appreciate that. But let's get stuck into the session. Now, I did at the end of last year get the opportunity to ride with Alex. It was only a steady social ride, but I am counting us as now like training partners, and he was kind enough to come on the channel as well for a couple of minutes to talk about his racing plans, so we're essentially best friends as well. So big fan of Alex Yee, such a nice guy. Hope this comes across in the right way. I'm not really a like training science expert or a coach or anything, but I'm going to show you what I can see and talk about what I think about it, but feel free to let me know your comments down below if you are better informed than I, which I'm sure you are. So firstly, Alex has done a brick session. That is a bike ride followed by a run, and some of it is pretty specific. So 56 miles, 2 hours and 25 minutes, and he's done 23.5 miles an hour. There is an hour of elapsed time, and the normalized power for the total ride was 257 watts. Alex has his FTP on Strava at 325 watts. I mean, I don't know if that's accurate for a fact, but I don't see why he'd put a fake threshold in there, and that does sound like roughly where I think he'd be. He hasn't got a weight on Strava. I have done some stalking on Zwift and on like Super League. I reckon he's 55 kilos. Again, let me know down below if you've got any like knowledge of him being different, but I think he's around there. So that puts his threshold at 5.9 watts per kilo, which is, yeah, pretty good. So this ride then, he's been out for a ride with Jack Willis and Connor Bentley, two friends of his and training partners, I'm assuming. Connor Bentley has named the ride Libash, and then Jack Willis has just used the wind emoji. I don't know if that's a nod towards the weather, or whether the ride was quite fast, or whether Jack's had some nutrition issues, who knows, but just to give you a bit of an idea about that. Now I'm going to be using a plugin, like a desktop plugin for this. It's called Strava Source, and it essentially means you can analyze statistics on Strava in a lot more detail, and it's really easy to understand. So if you haven't got it, it is free, and I would recommend it. That's this section down here, and it basically just gives you loads more information. So we're going to have a look at his ride. We're going to dissect it, because what it essentially is a warm-up, some activation like efforts, and then like a race specific or race simulation effort, followed by a pretty tasty brick run. So what does Alex Yee's warm-up look like? Well, this is roughly what it looks like. Let's have a look. 53 minutes roughly. It probably did about an hour by the time he got to the circuit. 19.5 miles an hour, normalized 186 watts. Now, an average 145 beats a minute. His heart rate max is very high, it's like in the 180s, so that is pretty chill, probably a zone 2, maybe low tempo effort. There's no real efforts in there or intervals. Looks like he's just had a nice steady cruisy ride, and that is still like 3.5 watts per kilo, but we've seen what his threshold is, so that's not that difficult a ride. And then he drops onto, if we look at this here, there's some short intervals, and for that I'm going to go onto the laps tab, because Alex has very kindly used the lap button, which is brilliant because it means we can see what those intervals are. So if we look at this here, he's got his warm-up at 55 minutes and 32. He's then done a minute at 316 watts, so a minute at threshold roughly. The heart rate is variable. I don't know how accurate it is, but the power is definitely accurate. And then a minute recovery, then another minute hard at 335, minute recovery, then another minute hard at 405 watts and 29.5 miles an hour. That's quite important. Putting out power at speed when you've got inertia is different to putting out power just like crawling up a hill. It is like differently done. Then 1.5 minutes easy. Then he's done 10 seconds at 616 watts, which, yeah, it's not like 1500 watts sprinting, but it is like over 10 watts per kilo for him. A minute and a half easy, another 10 seconds. I don't know if it's sprint, it's very hard effort. 1 minute 30 easy, and then 10 seconds again, 650, 1.5 minutes easy. 10 seconds at 882 watts, which is what, that's like 13, 14 watts per kilo. That's a solid effort. Another minute easy, 3 minutes at 295, which is again at probably sweet spot threshold. 15 minutes easy, and then 3.5 minutes at 389 miles. But this is sort of the race specific bit here, as these are the bits I want to look at. Now, this first section is like I think what they're doing is replicating coming out of transition. If we look at where that falls, that is that section. So that section there. So if we zoom into this bit, he basically does an out and back round and roundabout there. A couple of out and backs there, look. I think they're replicating racing where you come out of transition and you're going hard, easy, trying to make it to the front group or stay in the front group. And think about the race that Alex is going to be racing in Paris. The French athletes are very, very good. They're at a home race. If they're going to try and do anything, they're going to try and get away on the bike. So maybe they're simulating that a little bit. And then this is the bit that's really interesting to me. So they drop into this effort here onto the loop. If I just set this whole section, and this is tasty. Now I've just missed the first bit there, but they've essentially done an hour of moving, an hour of riding, normalized 300 watts, which as we've seen is about, what's that, 5.7, 5.8 watts per kilo for Alex, with some big kicks in there. And I think that is a pretty race specific session. The average speed is 29 miles an hour. He's done this with Jack and Connor as well. This to me is your WTCS crit race, or your bunch ride, and within that you can see that in the lead up to, he's done a few little sprint activations. So he's gone into it firing and then really hit this hour as hard as he can. I was just trying to nail down the difference between the elapsed time and the start time, so that's fine. So what's happened is he's done those 2 blocks of intervals there, and then taken a bit of a break, so 10 minutes at the end, and then got into it with this section here. And that's impressive, right? That's hard. An hour's essentially in a crit race doing over 5.5 watts per kilo at speed with corners, twists and turns. It looks quite flat, but it's still technical in places. That is a big ride and a big effort. And the other guys have done slightly more power than him as well, so they're probably a little bit heavier, but they're probably trying to hurt him, aren't they? Probably trying to put Alex in difficulty to prepare him for what might be to come. What might be to come? An afternoon run. So I've looked at the times, and this is a crisp brick run. Alex has got straight off the bike and straight onto the run. There was only about a minute gap between the end of the bike ride and the start of this run, so he's not messing around. So here, the description is put 2K, 1K plus start waffle. So I don't know what that means, start waffle. Whether there were some other running at the beginning or not, I don't know. But all he's put on here is the 2K and 1K efforts. So if we look at the laps, Alex has again lapped this for us. So it's 2K and there's no rest in between, it's straight off. Now, I don't know what sort of zones these would be for him, whether that is like threshold and that is harder, the 2K and 1K, whether it's tempo and threshold, who really knows, but 1.24 miles, so 2 kilometers, average pace 4 minutes 40 per mile and 172 BPM, and then 1K in 2:40. This is straight through, don't forget, at 4 minutes 18 per mile pace. That is fast, and 7 seconds of warming down at the end. So what is he on there? 2:25 per K pace at for the 2K, and then 2:20 per K pace. Sorry, yeah, 2:40 K pace at the one. I've messed it up, haven't I? It's late at night, right? It's fast. 440 miles and 418 miles. Those that work in kilometers, you're just wrong. What a brick run. Now that is 28-minute 10K pace, which the rumours are is that Paris is going to be that fast. It's going to be between 28 and 28:30, depending on how the bike plays out. So whether he's just dialing in that race pace or not, I don't know. That is disgusting. He also did have a dead turn in that as well. So that was in that 2K effort. He had a dead turn to go around. That again is the case on these triathlon circuits. There are cones to go around, there are turns to go around. We know the WTCS like a good cone. So yeah, there we go. In a nutshell, there's Alex Yee's, I'm giving him kudos on his run, there you go. There's Alex Yee's big brick session a couple of weeks out from the Paris Olympics. All the best, Alex, as if you're watching this video, to your campaign at the Olympics. Looking forward to watching your race, and thank you very much for sharing all this data, because I'm not going to say it's motivational to me, it's inspirational. Seeing such high levels of performance, can't really relate to it, but yeah, hope you enjoy.